Welcome to season 4 of the Get Set podcast, an old girls entertainment production. We are so excited to be on the pod today sharing our experiences as 3 women in the TV and film industry. For this episode, we have myself, Jessica Payne, and
Monique Schwaneman, and an amazing guest returning to us from season 3, ARUN STORRS.
Hi, everyone.
Yes, she graced our presence with her amazing knowledge and expertise and advice and just her story in season 3 with her acting career. And so today she's back to help guide us through her tried and true process with goal setting for the new year.
Yeah.
Yay.
Love it.
We did do a goal setting episode, obviously, for season 3 for 2025. But I didn't really goal set before in my life before I went to your goal setting party. I mean, goal set, you know, I'm like wishful thinking and things like that, but like sitting down and planning goals for the new year. I'd never done that before going to your place, ARUN. And I was just so grateful. And I think I love your process. You're going to walk us through it, but that was my intro to doing this at all. So thank you for bringing that to my life.
Oh my gosh, of course. Thanks for coming. And yes. And you know, I'm so glad that it served you, right? That's the point.
Oh, absolutely.
So.
Absolutely.
Yay.
So for goal setting,
where do we start? What's
right? So
like how do we do thing? Yeah.
So I'll tell you a little bit about like how I got into this and my version of it and sort of what the purpose is for, you know, actors, creatives. Basically, I went to Leslie Kahn Studio a long time ago and I was taking class with Joel Johnstone, who I adore. And he says he's a self-admitted hippie in the body of a Midwestern boy. And so I grew up in Oregon around all the hippies. And so I believe in like the things and visualization and manifestation and putting things out there. But I also think that it's important to be practical. And with, you know, this acting career stuff, you can't control a lot of it. So basically, and my dad is an artist. He's a avant-garde jazz musician. And so we always talk about the creative process and the artistic process. And that is like what I've come back to time and again in my acting career as like what's important is just being sustained by the artistic process and continuing to grow as a person through that. So my goal setting is very much about what has been working for you in your creative process in the past year and what do you want to bring forward into next year with you. So it's a little less of the like, hey, I want to book 5 co-stars and a little more of the, I want to approach my career fearlessly and with intention or something like that, right? And then we'll break that down into some specific bullet points. Just to give you a little preview, I like to do this with a group of people, and I can talk to you more about the ins and outs of that. And basically, there's a few parts of it. One is to reflect on the things that have worked for you in your artistic process in the past year. We don't necessarily need to talk about the things that haven't worked or your regrets or things you just like didn't do and you feel super shitty about it. Like, we don't need to take that into next year. So, you know, focusing on the things that worked for us and then sharing that with your community so you can get some ideas from your fellow creatives. And then also basically taking some time to brainstorm and craft a mission statement for your year ahead. And again, we can talk about the ins and outs of that, but basically overall, it's something pretty short and sweet that is within your control. So again, like not depending on someone else to cast you, but more on like your approach and how you're going to get what you need out of your creative work in the coming year. And then we'll get into specifics of like the bullet points, the nuts and bolts of like how you're going to do that, what that looks like. You know, it can be anything from self-submitting 20 times a week or, you know, refreshing your headshots or having lunch with a colleague that you find creatively interesting once a month, that type of thing. So that's sort of the pieces of it. I'll also say, go ahead, please.
No, I love that because we have an episode in season 3 that's called planting your seeds for your career. And so it's kind of like that. It's thinking about those actionable actions and tangible things in order to, break down your goal so that you can eventually get there. And because I think that's the main daunting task is you see it as this huge big thing, and so what can I even do to get there, which is why I love that you do it with groups, because I really love that atmosphere of like being around fellow creatives and hearing about what other people want to do with their lives, and them being passionate about it is so energetic. It's so energizing. And I love that approach to it, and just being in that room with everyone as they talk about how they're going to do this.
And it also makes so much sense too, because I mean, I think we've talked about this on the podcast before, but when I was getting out of school during the pandemic, I met up with virtually. I met up with 2 other friends, and we were all in the same situation. We're like, how do we get into a career that's like it's like on hold right now, And so we would literally just talk. We would, do our writings and everything, but we would like literally talk about like what we were doing like the last 2 weeks or however long it took us to get together as to like what we were, doing to try and like advance it. And sometimes it was like literally just trying to add as many people on LinkedIn that we possibly could. Sometimes it was asking for a virtual coffee with them. Sometimes it was, updating your resume, but like it was just like all these different things that we were trying to do. But, whether it worked or not is like one thing, but at least we were doing something. And we were also all coming together and being like, that's a good idea. Maybe I should try that. It was sharing those ideas with everyone too. It's cool.
Totally. Oh, that's so cool. Yeah. And I think you're like, that's the great thing, right? Is like you set a goal and you take action towards it, and maybe you don't achieve that goal, but it's in attempting it, you open up other opportunities for yourself that you might not have even anticipated. And completely. And exactly. And I think, one thing too, as artists, like, and, anyone on set, right? Like it's a really taxing, exhausting process to even like be in the room doing what you want to be doing. And so to be able to set yourself up in every way, like spiritually, physically, artistically, to succeed and to start that now instead of like waiting until the moment is great, and to be able to sort of like set yourself up for success in that way too. And those are all things we do have control over a little bit more.
And then also I was going to say too, like the fact that it is in a group setting is so nice, because as people who work together on sets and like in film and everything, like we are collaborators in every aspect. So like the fact that you're like collaborating with people, like how to like gain ideas as to like how to move the ball in one way or the other is like, it's practicing that side of, that side of the creativity as well is just the collaboration of it all.
Yeah. And also it's kind of a fun way to network.
Yeah.
Because if it's like, oh, I have this concept, but I need like a writing partner, and someone's like, I want to write a short film this year. It's just like, oh, hey, let's do this.
Hi, nice to meet you.
Completely. Like, I think that like the cross-pollination of like, just how everyone approaches their own work, and then also across like director, actor, writer, and I've had animators, I've had friends who are graphic designers come, like, people who like I have a friend who's just super creative and entrepreneurial, and like to sort of share ideas across and like pathways like to success, and little things too, like, hey, I can't think of anything right now, but like little tiny things about like what someone does like on a Sunday morning at 9 a.m., or something, and how that like helps them get in the right mindset. Like even like this little like hourglass thing that my friend gave me, who's like a writing partner of mine. And my dad was like, hey, just try to write, if you're having, feeling like writer's block or whatever, just turn it over and try to write a word before the sand runs out. Right. And then like all of a sudden you give yourself 5 minutes of silence to focus, and now you're writing for 25 minutes or whatever. So just, like little bits and pieces where you can be like, hey, let me copy and paste that into my life and see how it works for me. It's all like a grand artistic experiment, right? Like what's working, what's not working, what's working for me now, what's going to work for me in 10 months or 10 minutes, So exactly. Just culling all of the best ideas in a group of people who you respect is great.
Our audience now wants to like go and throw one of these parties. Who do you think is a good people to invite? I mean, obviously I'm sure creatives is like the biggest answer, but
yeah. You know, I think, yeah, well, one thing, yeah, that Monique was saying, like in terms of, you know, networking and stuff too, I think it's really valuable to have people of different sort of disciplines, because it does open up that pathway of like, hey, I need, even if it's like I want to get into writing, and one of the other, you know, the writers in the room is like, I want to like help someone learn how to write because that improves my own writing or something. You know, you never know like where those things are gonna, those seeds that you've planted are gonna spring up, and like also. You know, I think casting is always like that, right? It's like, I don't have a project for you now, but I think you're great. And in like 4 years, now I do. And I met, you know, at that great, you know, visioning session or whatever. So I think like definitely getting people from different disciplines is helpful for the networking aspect, for, you know, film industry folks. And then also I just think it's really cool to talk, to hear about people's creative processes when they have different approaches. You know, it's like stand-up comics are going to approach like everything differently than, you know, my friends who write feature films, or, you know, even my acting friends, like some of them are really good with the business of stuff, and I'm not very good at that. So like I can take, maybe I can't do everything they're doing, but I can take the top 2 things that they do and be like, let me integrate that into my plan for the year ahead. Alternatively too, like some folks are really, really business minded, but they kind of forget about like how to keep their creative self like happy and fulfilled outside of like the bookings and the accolades that they may or may not be getting that aren't fully within their control that year, that type of thing. So yeah, just and I do think though, thinking about like the state of the industry too, it makes a lot of sense to have maybe just film industry folks, or even maybe just actors. Not so it becomes like a venting sesh or anything, but just so I think there are some unique challenges that have been posed in the last few years for people in the film industry and for actors. And I think it could be, you know, helpful to sort of laser focus on that, depending on, you know, what you're looking for when you host, and what you want to get out of it too, because it's as much for you as it is for everyone else. And you know, and it should be also, yeah, for everyone else to really set their own goals. They shouldn't need to feel like, you know, they need to fit it into a cookie cutter of like what you're looking for. But that's how I like it. And I basically just use it as an opportunity to reflect myself, because I won't take the time to do it unless I'm doing it with other people. And
Literally same.
Yes,
Literally
yeah,
same.
exactly. And then also to just like, I get to get all my friends in a room and be like, hey, what are your best ideas? Let me take them. Thanks.
Yeah.
So,
And even if it, so the thing that when I went and I did this with you, I think one of the things that I was worried about is I probably knew 2 people in that room, and there was like at least like 10 people. So I was like, oh my God, I'm going to bare my soul. And, you know, also like, I don't know, I'm going to brag for a second about how things worked, but then also like where I want to be. And so there were like a lot of like little feelings about that. Like, I want to be true and authentic, and I want to get the most out of this, but I don't know any of these people, and am I going to be able to do this? And it was just totally freeing because everyone was open. Everyone was like, realistically, this is where I was at. This is where I want to go. There's no shame. There was no like, you know, I don't know. Everyone was real about it. So I think if you're listening to this and you're worried about, I don't know, bearing your soul to strangers, if you don't know everyone that's going to this party, it's okay. And I literally got something from everyone, whether that just be friendship or whether that be like, I'm rooting for you or they're rooting for me, or, you know, or like you said, tangible action points for my career. And sometimes I got those tangible things from actors, and sometimes it wasn't. Sometimes I was like, that is, like you said, that's a great business strategy, and I really need to implement that. Because a lot of actors are not great at the business side of things. A lot of creatives aren't great at the business side of things, you know? Yeah.
Oh, I'm so glad you said that. And yeah, you know, one thing too, I find like is really helpful. I think actually at the session that I did with you, which I haven't always done, is sort of like, what's one success you had and what did you learn? And what's one failure you had and what did you learn? And I think it's so easy, to like get in a room like that and be like, oh, you know, I need to like kind of pose like I've done more than I have, or I need to like whatever. Like I think you're right. There's like a lot coming into it, and to just sort of be like, hey, the goal is like, what did I learn from myself and my process this year? And like, how can it help me going into the future? And like, if you're real and honest about that, not only will you get something out of it, but like the people in the room are bound to get something out of it too.
I also feel like it depends on like the headspace you're in when you go in. And what's really interesting, I always find myself like whenever I haven't seen someone in a long time or whatever, and they're like, "Oh, how you doing? Like, what's up?" I'm like, "Not doing much, just." But like then I obviously like when we get together, Mo and everything, we're like, "No, actually, we've done a lot of things. We've done X, Y, Z. Like, you know what I mean?" And then you hear other people and like what they've been doing and how it's worked for them, and you're like, "Oh yeah, I've been doing that." It kind of gives you like a spark of idea to be like, "Oh, I've been doing that too, and that has been working for me." So I'm not as far behind as maybe I thought.
And they're considering it a win, so maybe I should consider it a win too.
Exactly. Like, oh yeah, one of my goals this last year was to go to lunch with someone in the industry every month, and like, and I've done that, or I've done that most months or whatever. And then you're like, oh yeah, I've kind of kept that up too. Like, even if that was, you know what I mean? Like, sometimes it's just those little things that sometimes you just forget that you're like, you are actively pursuing, you are planting those seeds. Maybe they haven't like, sprouted from the soil yet, but like it's still happening and you're still doing it. And
yeah, completely.
Whenever you guys get together, then, so what do you start with? Do you start with your mission statement, or do you start kind of with these tangible goals? Or I'm assuming you go around in a circle and kind of like talk about your successes, right?
Yeah, totally. Well, and so basically, I like to start on like reflecting on the last year and like what worked for you. So usually again, it is the approach of like being honest with yourself, knowing that it's the journey, not the destination. It's what you've gained for yourself, what you've built and learned from the year before. And so basically what I'll do is I'll have everyone sit down and brainstorm for like 5 to 10 minutes of like all the things they did in their artistic process that went well for them the previous year. And I like to, if it's possible for people, to not necessarily put like wins that were outside of their control, like booking a commercial or whatever, but things that they did within their own control that enabled that process to be successful for them. So like, so instead of being like, last year, one thing I did well was book a commercial, you would say something like, I felt really prepared for my commercial auditions because I did X, Y, or Z, right? I upped my self-tape game at home by like buying the 2 things I really needed. Or I strengthened my relationship with casting by, sending thank you notes when I got callbacks or something like that, right? So it's things that like you have done and you can continue to do to like help support your success, but it's not just like the thing, the booking of it that is the success. It's all the things around it that you did that were part of your process. And also, I like to have it open to things that aren't 100% business related too, right? Like you could be like, one of the things I did artistically that was successful for myself last year was I booked out for 2 weeks in July and didn't have any auditions and got to actually reset and like not be so burned out, right? Or I decided to schedule date nights with my partner, once every 2 weeks because like I needed to feed that relationship. Or, I did something for my support services. I got I got myself a job that now I only have to work 2 jobs instead of 4, stuff like that. So anything that supports your artistic process that you did well, like make a list of that. And then we go around the circle and we share it. Yeah.
Perfect. And then from there, do you craft your mission statement? Do you start looking at like the different things that you could be doing for the next year? Like what do you think is the next like process? Is it like the tangible things that you're going to do or the mission statement?
Yeah.
Or is it all together?
Yeah, it is. I mean, I think it's a little bit of an arbitrary line that I draw, but I do like to make the mission statement and then the how you do it specifics, 2 separate processes. So the first one would be, writing the mission statement. I think also that tends to take like 5 to 10 minutes as well. And so
That was
basically,
the hardest part for me because I've
yeah.
never written a mission statement before, especially for myself. Like I think in college, like I did, I took like theater management. So it's like, if you were to create your own theater,
Oh.
what would your mission statement be for your theater? And so I'd done that before, but not for like my life. It felt so personal. I'm like, man, I don't want to fuck this up. And I'm going to be reading this for the next year. And I just remember, I remember going through it and you just kept on having me get more specific and more specific and honing in on it. And it was the hardest part, but it was the most rewarding part, because then if I was thinking about anything throughout the year, I'm like, okay, it needs to align to what my mission statement is, because this is the overarching thing that I want for myself. But that was the hardest part, for real. It was hard.
Yeah. No, and I mean, I'm so glad you said that, because I think it is really hard, and it does feel kind of like a contract you're making with yourself, and you're like, yeah, I don't want to like do it wrong, or like be wrong, or like fixate on the wrong thing, and then I've messed my whole year up. But yeah, and I think one thing, now that I've been doing it for a while, I was looking back at some of mine, and sometimes it's very specific. Like in 2018, I wrote, my goal is to develop my personal point of view, because I felt like that would improve my acting. It would motivate me to create work that I felt invested in, to move my career ahead, all that stuff. And then like other times I've had like kind of really like lengthy ones. Well, actually, yeah, like a paragraph of, I think 2018 was, oh no, that was my goal, is personal point of view. But like, let's see, 2020 was like really long. It was like, my mission for 2020 is to remain motivated, connected, and working. I'll be as confident in my theatrical work and auditions as I am in my commercial work and auditions. Collaboration will be the driving force that gives me confidence. I will push myself to work deeply and meet my own high standard of work and play. I will work so hard that play will be easy. I will be grateful for everything I have, and it will bring more work, success, valuable lessons, and insight into my acting and my art. So it's
Beautiful.
Like, oh, thank you.
And also so hard to do during a pandemic, but there's so much you can fit within what you said, because you can collaborate even when you didn't book things.
Yes, exactly. That's the thing, right? And I think, last year, I'll be honest, I did not do one. And then my friend was like, hey, can we like do a mid-year visioning? And I was like, sure. And so we did. And mine was basically like, create with friends, have fun, and play,
Yeah.
And so it's like, and hey, if I do that, like that can bring a lot of joy and success, in many different understandings of the word. So, yeah. So anyway, it feels heavy, but like it really, the idea is that it's something that like gets you excited and like makes you want to like approach the work instead of fear the work. At least, that's my perception, because I get tied down by fear.
Yeah.
Oh my God, same. And I have a little hack for 2025, since we hadn't met yet, for for a goal setting session, ARUN. I didn't know. I was like, okay, I don't have ARUN here with me. I don't know if I can do this mission statement. And so I literally put into, we put this in the episode, I put into Chat GPT the pillars kind of that I wanted. AI did it for me. I'm not promoting AI, but if you need a backdoor deal, if you're getting that paralyzed by the idea of it, it worked.
That's amazing. That's amazing. I am terrified of ChatGPT, but I've also started to embrace it as a tool. And I think, if it helps you, it helps you. And and if it helps collate a lot of information and then it rings true to you, like, use it. Yeah.
Yeah. One thing I want to just also point out for anyone that's listening, if you're listening in February and you're like, oh, it's too late. It's never too late. Like you said, you did a mid-year one, ARUN. And so I'm like, everyone, like anytime you want to do it, anytime you want to start it, you can make monthly mission statements and monthly goals, like go off and do your thing. The best time to start is now.
Yes.
On top of that as well, what do you think makes for a strong mission statement? Like, what is something that you're like, this is what I've seen at least works the best for me, or whatever?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think the main thing is it has to be within your control. So I end up being more like focusing on my approach, like how I want to approach the work, how I want to approach my life, focusing on outcomes you can control. Yeah, like how I want to operate, even sometimes, like my attitude towards the work is something I'll put in that mission statement. And it should be all about like what you can do to support yourself and your goals. In terms of like crafting it too, I'm the type of person who likes to write down like a million things that I want for the year ahead. And then I sort of, edit it down to, 1 to 5 sentences. The idea also is that it can be written on one piece of paper, that you can put it somewhere, you'll see it every day, and just sort of be able to check in with it pretty easily. I will be fully honest. I do not always put it in a place I can see it every day. And sometimes I really only look at it at the next year's visioning session. But it is really interesting how, like Joel said this too when we first did it. And he's like, it's crazy what will come of it. And it's not like we're sitting there and manifesting like, oh, I'm like on I'm at the Dolby Theater and I'm walking up the stairs and I'm taking my, Oscar or whatever. It's not so much that, but it's more like, just like, yeah, like envisioning success for you and like empowering yourself to get there. And I've had crazy things happen. Like I did it in 2016 and 17, but I think I did it in 2016. And that was the year that I ended up reconnecting with someone who was a bartender at a restaurant I used to work with when I worked at a different restaurant. They came in to eat there and they were like, hey, I've been looking to cast like one person in my like show that's going to go to Hollywood Fringe and then Edinburgh. And do you want to like be that person? And I was like, yes, I've been dying to go to the Edinburgh Fringe Festival since like I knew about it. And I got to go. And like, I didn't put that in my mission statement. And I don't even know if I did anything that really promoted that, except to sort of be open to what I thought was important, which is collaborating with people to tell stories that I think need to be told.
Yeah.
That was very long-winded. Yeah. But basically you want to create a mission statement that's, pretty to the point and within your control. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I even like, it's funny when you were like saying like, oh yeah, we're not writing like when you're walking up the Dolby, theater steps or whatever. And I'm like, yeah, but if you get to that moment, what I really would like want to like essentially be, I would like want to be able to remember these things and like, and be present. So I'm like, that could be a good way, right? Is like anytime the good stuff happens or in any moment you're present in it and you're remembering like the good and the bad and the all the stuff in between. So that way you can like really take in those moments that are happening to you.
Yeah. That's a great thing. Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna add it to my mission statement for next year.
It's kind of working backwards a little bit. Like you're like, okay, well, what is the goal? It's like, okay, I have won the Oscar. Okay, well, like how am I gonna feel? Like, oh, I want to feel fulfilled in my career. Oh, yes. I don't want to. Yeah, you know what I mean.
Because that's like another thing I always feel like, even when success comes, right? That's something that I have a fear of in terms of if and when success comes, am I going to appreciate it when I get it? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so, yeah, that's something that if you work on your mindset for it, then you hopefully will.
No, exactly. And this sounds like a little bit of a departure, but finances are so interrelated to like the work. And, I remember talking to someone at one point that was like, yeah, if, actors, once they finally like quote unquote make it, and by make it, they meant in this case, like get a bunch of money, they spend it unwisely because like they haven't developed the skills to like spend wisely when you get a lot of money, and I think of that as a parallel to like so many of the things, like the thing you're just talking about is like, yeah, you get the like success that you're looking for, but then can you appreciate it? Are you prepared for it? Like how, just like doing everything you can to recognize what's important. And exactly what you're saying, Monique, about like, yeah, we can get the Oscar, but what do you really want from that? You really want to feel fulfilled. You want to feel recognized by your peers. You want to tell stories that impact people positively, right? So like you can do all of that now.
Yeah.
You don't have to have an Oscar to get there.
Yeah.
So that's a great way to reframe, what we can get from this mission statement.
I think what you said about the finances too is so important.
Yeah.
And I just want to touch on that for a second, because a lot of people's goals is like, I want to make this much money, or I want to, and I think a better way to phrase, or a more productive way to phrase that would be, I want to know how, like, because people want financial freedom, right? So I want to have financial freedom, but you won't have that unless you're knowledgeable about how to sustain your finances. Like through, Jessica says, like, we have valleys and we have peaks of this industry. So like through the valleys, how can I sustain myself or my family financially through this? So, and that comes with like, maybe you take a tax class, maybe you get a certification in something. Yeah. And so then that becomes those little notches under your belt that make that goal so much
another thing
better.
too, that I just like, because we're bringing up finances, but I just heard like a quote where it was like, you aren't a millionaire because you've spent $1 million. You're a millionaire because you have it. So you don't like spend it. You don't, waste it on, these crazy purchases.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. Sorry. That was just like a side note.
No, it's just, I was just gonna, I also saw something similar where it was like, you don't spend the money to show you have money necessarily. Yeah, exactly. And that's another thing too, right? It's like, how are you going to, if you have your priorities, right? It's like, how do you want to have money work for you? Right? Like, and if you are like clear, for instance, it's like, and what is financial freedom, right? Like, and obviously that can be different for everyone, but it's like, if I make X amount of money and then I make X amount of money on top of that, can I put that extra money into a film that I want to make to like tell a story that I think is important, that like maybe even you have the Oscar, but like no one's hiring you to tell the other story you want to tell. Right. So like, let's be prepared for that. I don't know.
Yeah, totally. It's funny the way you like said it too, of like, maybe you've like made it as a air quotes made it as an actor and everything. It's like, it feels almost like the way that sounds is like, it's like you've won the lotto essentially, right? Yeah. And so you can either treat it as you've won the lotto of like, this is a one-time payment and I'm going to like blow it and like do whatever. Or you can then use that to elevate your life or career in certain ways. And so you just have to be prepared when that time comes, when you do, because you are like, you're investing in, I guess, I wouldn't say, betting on the lotto is quote unquote investing, but right now you're investing yourself into your career. And so when you do have, when you do quote unquote make it, when you do get that winning lottery ticket, how are you then going to leverage it to sustain it and continue that?
Yeah, completely. And I think, that's also one thing like I admire about, certain actors like Brad Pitt, like he executive produces really important movies, and it's like, he doesn't have to do that with his money, but like he does. And I think hey, Michelle and Barack Obama, like one of the main things they've done since the presidency is like create a production company to tell important stories, and it's like, how, if it starts with the mission statement, it's like, for me, it's really important to be involved in telling stories that I think are not told. And I don't have all of the tools and all of the money to like make that happen. But if that's my defining like goal in the industry, like when can I plug into that and see that opportunity? Yeah.
Totally. Okay. So we have our mission statement.
Yes.
What's next? What do? We have our mission statement. We know how we're going to like, have our mindset go for the year and like the ways in which we're going to like, work on ourselves and our career. What are the goals then? And how many goals also do you set for yourself?
Yeah. So I think it's important not to make it overwhelming, because if it's one of those things where you look at it and it just fills you with anxiety and dread, that is not the point of this. So I always say, like, less is more. Or if you like to give yourself a menu of things and more actually works for you, because then, that doesn't overwhelm you, then do that. Like, this is all supposed to be for like you, for your process to support your work and get you excited about your career. So that's a non-answer, but I will say that the next step would be like to write the bullet point nuts and bolts specifics of how you will achieve your mission statement. So I'll give you a couple of examples. For instance, if your mission is something like conquer my fear of failure, because sort of like, yeah, Monique was saying, like, if you look back and sort of work backwards, and maybe one of the things that's really hampering you in your scene work or in your auditions is just like a fear of failure, and you're self-sabotaging, and you're getting your auditions in late or not getting them in at all, or you're doing them but like not giving yourself enough time to feel successful and do your best work, then like maybe what it really is like a fear of failure, and you need to have your mission statement being fear of failure. Well, then your nuts and bolts specifics in this section of the visioning could be something like, ask for something that I know was going to be a no every day. Celebrate when I've gotten 10 no's. So it's like very micro. Um, if your mission statement is something like create with others, you could do something macro or micro or all sort of in between. It could be register a production company. It could be, make 2 short films with 3 friends by July. It could be, reach out to 3 up and coming film directors that I like their YouTube shorts, something, something like that. Another one could be like, and this is like quite broad maybe, but pursue the business of acting fiercely, right? Then you could do everything from sign up for an accountability group, blast casting directors 2 times a month, find every assistant in every casting office on IG and friend them, take a branding course, right? So it can be sort of, so basically the idea is like you have an overall mission statement, and then in this section you write the specifics of how to do it, and then we would share those also back with everyone. And sometimes, people are like, oh, that's a good one, I'm going to steal it. And that's great. That's the point. So, and again, I think I took examples that were pretty specific actually, but I do tend to have like a little bit broader mission statements. And so sometimes my bullet points are like, make healthy eating choices, or like save, like I don't like making things too prescriptive because I find that constraining. So, something like save money instead of spend it when I can, stuff like that, just because you're banking it for like a time when you need it, for just pursue your dreams,
But that's something so simple that like you can put, like literally you can write that in your wallet, and every time you go for your credit card, you're just like, do I need this? Or something you could put, like the other note about the healthy eating, you could put it somewhere in your kitchen, or like put it in your drawer, like somewhere hidden where, it's not in your face, but every time you go to do that action, it's like, okay, wait, does this align with what I want for myself?
I mean, or even too, like if that is like for the saving versus spending, what you could do is like have with that, then have like little micro goal of like delete my credit card from my computer so it's not an auto, whenever I go online to purchase, it's not automatically there. You know what I mean? Like you could do like small stuff to kind of like be like, let me make it harder for me to spend money, essentially.
Yeah. No, exactly. And that's exactly like something, if we were in the group, like I'm sure like 5 people would be like, let me write that down. Yeah. That's a good one. Yeah. And that's the thing too, right? It's like, and it could be something like, I think mine, for like last year was like create with others, have fun and play. And like, part of supporting that mission is like being healthy enough that I can like sustain myself for 10 hours on my feet on set. And so that means like, find a fun, playful way to stay in shape.
Yeah.
So yeah, the nuts and bolts of like just how you operate. I like that a lot too, because it pulls it away from like, I like the little things you can do that are just like check mark things. And then I like the sort of more bigger picture approach things too, because you don't, yeah, again, I guess I'm finding my own thing. I don't like to feel constrained. So,
Yeah.
because then I feel like I'm a failure if I don't do it. And then that discourages me.
Right.
So, it's
Yeah.
sort of like tricking yourself into what works for you too.
Yeah, one of the things that we did for 2025 is we decided to like gamify the resolutions a little bit. So we did bingo cards. So I like that because then I personally really do like the check mark stuff, because then I can like see like, oh, I have done that. However, because I've done like 24 spaces on this bingo card, the goal is not to finish the entire bingo card. The goal is to like have those little checks, maybe get a bingo here or there. I can kind of like be like, oh, I just need to add $5 more into my savings account to get this one square. Let me go do that real quick. You know what I mean? So I like that because again, it's not like keeping me confined with it, and it's giving it a little bit of like play, but it does give me some tangible acts to do, some check marks to like check off.
Yes, that's great. No, exactly. That's such a fun way to approach it.
Yeah. It's been fun.
Yeah.
Fun.
So, do you have any tips about, like, before we wrap this up here, about how do you, like, other than placing those in areas where you can see, are there any other tips you have about keeping to your mission statement throughout the year? Or keeping to your goals? Or maybe have you ever found that you have to create new goals and like maybe you hit things, or maybe you are getting discouraged by some things, or maybe a pandemic hits, or there's a strike. Like, what are there tips and ways that you pivot or anything like that?
I think that, I think that like what you were saying earlier about how to craft the mission statement and having it be something that's like sort of separate from an achievement, quote unquote, like that it's more about the feeling you want to like create for yourself, or the actions you want to take in general of how you approach your career or stuff like that. Like that, I think, is the most important part. And if you do that in a way that continues to feed you every time you look at it, then you can change the bullet points out if you need to. I think I don't totally like to design it in a way where it's like, I'm part of a group that does like 6-month goals. And I think that's really, really valuable in terms of like, what is a 6-month goal? What are all the steps I need to take? Let me check in like every week to make sure I'm getting there. And then you can look back after 6 months and be like, wow, look what I accomplished. I think that's very helpful. I think of that as a different process than this. I think this process is more about how do I want to operate in my artistic career? And that because of that, the mission statement should sustain you through the year. However, if it doesn't, like it's supposed to be for you. So yeah, change it and reflect on like what isn't working, what isn't sparking that excitement for you. And then, zhuzh it for sure. I mean, the whole point of it is like, it's for you to excite you, to evolve you, to support you, and, to do that however you need to do it. And the more you do it, the more you'll learn about yourself too.
I love that, to excite and evolve you. That's I'm going to do a mission statement for my mission statement.
Yeah. Yeah, that was a little roundabout. Sorry about that.
Yeah. No, it's great. Thank you. Thank you so much for walking us through this process. I just have really found it valuable, and I'm so grateful that, I think it was 2018 was when we did it together.
Wow.
So thank you for, giving that experience to me, and I've, taken it with me since. And thanks for coming on and sharing it with everyone.
Of course. Thank you so much for having me. I hope it helps some creatives out there.
It will, for sure.
Great.
For sure.
I mean, it re-helped me again.
So. Yeah, it helped us. So it's
100%.
Awesome.
So no matter what, you have two people who help you. It was helpful.
I know, it helped me too. I'm like, oh my gosh, okay, now I'm in the headspace. It's great.
Love it.
Yay.
Love it.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you. Go get set.
Yes.